Hey, aloha everybody. Hope your day's going well. I hope that your family's doing well and everybody that loves you and everybody you love is doing awesome. I just wanted to chit chat for a little bit. I got the day off of work today and I had made a previous video about looking at life in a different way. And the way in which I was looking at my life was more like I started seeing all these things around me. And the things that I really noticed around me were was like a weakening of the human spirit is the best way to describe it. And so in that last video, I had told everybody that I was going to try and react to that. I have this idea that the things that you notice in life, the things that you see happening in your relationships, or the things that you see happening at your work or wherever you notice the pattern at, is something that the world needs help with. And while you can't change the world, I mean, you can't go out and change everybody else, you can change yourself. And so that is the strategy that I adopted. The thing that I saw was people not standing up for themselves. And so the way I went about focusing on that is I changed it in me. I thought that the world's showing me, hey, we have a problem with people not standing up for themselves. And so rather than go out and try to stand up for the world, why don't you lead by example and stand up for yourself? So here's an example of what I did, and then I'm going to tell you what the ramifications were. So at my work, like I've noticed that the people that are running the show are just, dude, they're understaffed, they're undergunned, and they're just being threatened with their jobs. Like either put this policy forward or you get fired. And it's unfortunate that the policies in which they put forward are policies that tend to have negative ramifications for their employees. And so I took the opportunity to stand up in front of all the people there and call out what I thought was some pretty big injustices. My goal wasn't to try to make a mockery of it or be argumentative. My goal of it was to show everybody there, like, look, you can stand up for what you believe in and you can do it respectfully and you can do it kindly, but you must do it. Maybe the reason the people in my environment weren't standing up for themselves is because they didn't have a role model to do that. And you alone can be the role model for other people. The ramifications of that were I kind of got in trouble a little bit, but at the end of the day, I feel like it was the right thing to do. And so I want to encourage everybody to try to use that philosophy in their life. If you see something happening out there that you feel is wrong, then change that in you. Change that inside you. And I think that that can help heal the world a little bit. I know that sounds kind of corny, but I think you can, man. I think that's the only way to do it. The second issue I wanted to tell everybody about is a quick story. You may have heard this. I think it's from Nietzsche, but there's the story of the camel, the lion, and the child. Have you guys heard this before? So on our quest for meaning, on a quest for spiritual meaning, I guess, or any kind of meaning in your life, a lot of us who feel called, or just a lot of us in general, we're, we're like the camel. Like the first stage is the camel. And the camel is this amazingly strong beast that can go without water and it can carry a really heavy load and a heavy burden. And so in the beginning, everybody's a camel. And you bow down, you prostrate yourself in front of all your elders and all the schools, and you begin to carry this heavy load. On the back of the camel, everything is piled up, all the books that you've read, all the experiences of your teachers, all the amazing ideas and concepts of the greatest minds that have come before us are saddled upon you. And once you, as the camel, are saddled with this huge, heavy burden, this load on you, as a young camel, you raise up from your knees and you run out into the desert. And you have this huge load on you, and you're all alone with all the burdens of society, alone in the desert. And you struggle out there until one day you begin to realize, you know what? I don't really want to carry these burdens anymore. I don't really want to live these other people's lives. I really don't care too much about these other people's ideas about what life is and what these other people who went before me did. And in order to shake those burdens, in order to stop from becoming the camel, you have to transform yourself and become the lion. And you become the lion by shirking off all those ideas of other people, by no longer believing or giving validity to ideas that may not be ideas that you ever believed in. In fact, they were just burdens you were saddled with. That's the beginning of becoming the lion. But the purpose of the lion is not to become this powerful animal to you know live out in the world and conquer everybody. The purpose of transforming into the lion is like a vehicle. It's like a transformative form. So you've gone from the camel who carries the burden to the lion who is brave and willing to tackle his own ideas. As the lion, you begin to understand that you must make your own way in this world. You must blaze your own trail, regardless of some of the consequences. And you can't fully become the lion until you fully believe in yourself and you're willing to take the hits. So after this phase, after you become the lion, you have one last transformative phase. And according to Nietzsche, this has never been done before. There's been plenty of people who have picked up the burden of the camel, and there's even been people who've transformed themselves into the lion. But according to Nietzsche, we as humans are unable to truly master this next transformation. And this next transformation is the lion becoming the child. And the only way that the lion can become the child is to defeat the dragon. So after you've been the camel, you've turned into this lion and you've searched for meaning and you've found your own way and you've found strength in who you are as a person and those who believe in you. And now it's your turn to face the dragon. So you go to the dragon's lair and you understand that this dragon is a formidable beast. In fact, the dragon is like 100 feet tall, and it's filled with these golden scales and wings. And on every scale of the golden dragon is written, "Thou shalt." Thou shalt stands for every law that's ever been written, every rule that's ever been put upon mankind. Don't do this. Thou shalt not that. Thou shalt thou not this. And the only way to defeat the dragon is to write your own thou shalt. So you as the lion, you embark on the dragon and you let out this tremendous roar. And you say, I do not respect any of your rules, any of your values. I will. I will. He just screams out, so I will. The dragon looks at the lion, shakes his head. And this dragon is just so seductive and powerful. He just shakes his head at the lion. Like, you silly beast. Don't you know all the rules of mankind have been written? Who are you? You're nobody. Look at my scales. For every scale, there is a thou shalt for millennium, thousands of years. No one has beat me. And it is in this moment where the lion understands what true mastery is. And only then, only when he truly understands that he must relinquish everything, all his thoughts, all his earthly ideas of what it means to be a human or a man or a woman or a person, not until he can truly master his emotions and his connection to the planet can he then become the child. And the significance of the child, and for those of us who have kids, we understand that the child sees the world in a way in which we no longer see it. They're playful, curious, truly amazed at a hummingbird flying through the air. It's magical to them. And it's that symbolism. It's not that you really become a child. It's that you rise above the pettiness of thou shalt. You understand the ridiculousness of the laws put forth in front of you, and that way too often we are led by the least among us. So that's the story. That's the story of the camel, the lion, and the child. Can you find yourself on that journey? Can you think for a minute like where you might be? Are you saddled with burdens? Have you begun to transform into the lion? Will you face the dragon? Will you have the courage to transform into a child? The reason I bring up this story is like I feel so blessed to be living the time we're living in. I know it's crazy. I know there's a lot of fear and a lot of people are scared. But there's a real possibility that this is exactly what freedom looks like. Think for a minute about what's happening in Afghanistan. Think for a minute about, you know, for we're only fed just a little trickle of the reality of what's really happening. In my opinion, what I see happening is what happened in Afghanistan was a change of power. And it was an orderly change of power. I realize that there's been explosions and deaths, but think about like why would we leave Black Hawk helicopters? Why would we leave billions of dollars of machinery? That was a negotiation. Like we negotiated that. Not you and I, but someone negotiated that leave. And then they left Biden or Kamala or the American. They left us all high and dry. But make no mistake, there was a negotiation that happened there. And the stuff we left behind was part of that negotiation. If you want to truly understand what's happening, I think what you're seeing is a radical shift in supply chains. And that's why if you just scratch the surface of the news, or if you just scratch the surface of the papers, that's why there's shortages. And that's why there's inflation, is that the very supply chains that ran the world for the last 30 years are changing hands. The way in which we consume goods is changing. And just think about how significant that is. Like that is, it's incredible because imagine, okay, think about where Afghanistan is on a map. Afghanistan is a gateway to the heartland of the world's island. Right? The world's island was said to be like, if you can just imagine in your mind what China, Russia, and Europe look like on a map, right? If you can pan back, it looks like a huge island, right? And they call that the world's island. And according to military strategists since the days of Napoleon or the Romans, the theory is that he who controls the world's island controls the world. And so the reason that empires go there to die is because they go there to try to control the heartland of the world's island. And you can't do it. Or no one's done it yet. But when you're in Afghanistan, you can control the trade routes, which is, vis-a-vis controlling the world's island. You're controlling the trade routes of the world's island. And that's a major focal point, is Afghanistan. When the CIA, when America, when our government was in Afghanistan, we controlled all the opium that came out of there. Now, think about, like, what if the opium in Afghanistan was like a government contract? Okay, for those of you that work for the government or those of you that are familiar with contract law, you understand that government contracts are incredibly lucrative. So think about the entity that was running the opium out of Afghanistan. They had pretty much a government contract. Now, that government contract was worth billions. If you or me have a company and we have a government contract for billions, and then one day the government comes knocking on our door, hey guys, your guys' contract's up, we're going to give it to somebody else. I'm pretty sure we're going to fight for it. I'm pretty sure we're going to do a little cost analysis and be like, listen, man, we made $100 billion. We could spend, maybe 100 million trying to keep our contract, right? And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. You're going to see more and more of that. You're going to see more rhetoric about why we should go back. But that is just big business and international corporations and special economic zones fighting for the contract to continue to control the trade routes. I love you guys. And I hope you think a little bit deeper about the camel, the lion, and the dragon. I got some other awesome stuff that I want to bring to your guys' attention. Just about maybe bringing back some rites of passage and some mythology to the classroom. I think we can learn a lot with a bit of an archaic revival. But that's all I got for now. Let me show you guys some of how beautiful it is here at Shark's Cove. Can you guys see that? Like, there's a lot of beauty out there, guys, ladies and gentlemen. And sometimes the world is if you're just watching the world through TV, it can be pretty ugly. So I wanted to show you guys some beauty. Look at that. And if you really want to see beauty, you know what you do? Just look in the mirror. Just look in the mirror. Look how amazing you are. Look at your kids, your sister, your mom or your dad or your grandparents. Do yourself a favor today. And for no reason at all, call up somebody and tell them you love them. Think about something somebody did for you. And call them. Tell them how awesome they are. All right, guys. I love you. I'm going to let you roll out here with some of this.